Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Glad and happy to have you here once again. This is an article from the cryptobasic.com. Let's get right into the good news. It continues to come in. Don't let the negativities penetrate your mind, dominate you, overshadow all of this progress that we are making, because we continue to make massive amounts of progress. So, this article is from the cryptobasic.com, and it is titled, Ripple and Palau mints very first Palau stablecoin. We are still at the beginning, and yet we've made so much progress. It says here, J. Hunter Anson, director of Palau's digital residency program, recently took to Twitter to announce a momentous development for the crypto community, with particular reference to the Ripple community. Anson revealed that Palau National Treasury Director and senior engineer and lead project manager from Ripple joined forces to celebrate the successful minting of the very first Palau stablecoin, PSC. Says here, the event took place at the national capital of Palau. Anson emphasized that the PSC launch is a significant step in their collaboration with Ripple, as they jointly explore the potential of this stablecoin and specific use cases within the country. Interestingly, this strategic initiative received explicit approval from the Palau Congress, adding an official stamp of legitimacy to the PSC pilot program. And you know how many different ways that this is going to affect the XRPL, obviously. So it is worth noting that the PSC stablecoin is powered by the XRPL XRP ledger. As Crypto Basic reported previously, Anson's tweet further revealed that the controlled and limited PSC pilot tests were carried out to verify the effectiveness and efficiency of the solution designed jointly with Ripple. By the way, I just want to take a moment and say shout out to Mashburn for keying me into that New York Post article. I did give it a little bit of a read. It was ridiculous, as you said. Shout out to everyone who was referencing. I was talking about some fun times and games in the last video, and a lot of people were talking about what's that game with the like robots, and what was that called? It was like robots, and they would punch each other until the head would pop off. It will pop up. Let me not say pop off. That might disturb some people. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Yes, yeah. That's a classic. I'm like, oh, these people know the classics. These are my people. But you don't want to play Rock'em Sock'em Robots with me. Oh, I'm going to get you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I'm going to get you. Oh, man. I love the subscribers here. That's just me. This is how I feel. All right. So now let's move on to another article here. All right. Shout out to everybody that remembered Knockout Kings and all the other games I was talking about. This is bring back good memories. I like that. So anyway, this article here is from finpoll.com. All right. And it is titled, Finance Experts Answer, Can XRP Reach $5 in 2023? Yeah. More interesting stuff here. So we'll skip the SEC part. They always do the SEC intro, right? Indeed, Finbowl asked professionals across a range of expertise for input on the possible price of XRP over the course of 2023, specifically whether it could reach $5. Ooh, I like that. It says, and they have provided valuable insights. Once again, we know no one knows where it's really going to go, but we're collecting data. These are experts, so it's reputable. It's interesting to hear what they have to say. So specifically, whether it could reach $5, and they have provided valuable insights, taking into account not only the recent positive ruling, but also the fundamental price factors and other developments. Sudhir Kotwani, founder of the Money Mongers think tank, says XRP could reach $5 in 2023 due to renewed optimism, but also witness, quote, a significant price correction. I agree with that. I think, but here's the thing about that. When he says it attracted optimism, obviously, I believe that means institutions, banks, more banks, right? We don't have all the banks, but we have a lot of banks. We don't have all of them. So I think many more banks will probably be interested in XRPL based systems, right? But I'll say this about a correction. It wouldn't just be XRP, because there is a looming problem globally, economically, everything could have a bit of a correction, right? A significant correction at a period of time. It all depends when everything happens. Liquidity is very low globally right now. The debt is very high globally. There's a lot of conflict economically. You see what Brics is doing and such, right? And of course, the West is not resting on their laurels. They're also taking activity like with this whole semiconductor battle that's going on. I don't know if you've been following that. That's significant, right? Then, but once again, you have what was going on with the grain. Did you see what happened with the grain, with the battle that's happening over there? So you have all of these different factors, commercial real estate. That's not just in the United States. There's a lot of those types of problems globally, right? So we're looking at the effect of all of these different variables, and that was just a few, on how that's going to affect the markets. And it would be detrimental if a lot of these things, catalysts, negative catalysts, rear their ugly heads, for lack of a better word. Now, the West is the one we've been following most closely, and they're having the biggest problems. Look at the exit as of recent of how much capital, billions exiting the banks as of recent. You following that? Look at what they're doing with people's accounts, right? Don't ever forget the buy-in clauses. Keep in mind what U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and others have said from the Fed as well, where they're saying like, hey, listen, a lot of these banks, we're not going to bail them out. So keep that in mind. That's not spoken of to the degree that it should be. So then we're looking at, if you've been reading the articles as of recent, the banks practically begging to have a little bit more leniency on how they can deal with the commercial real estate problem. There's no telling if they're going to be given that leniency. I don't think so. I don't think so. It looks to me that the system, quote unquote, wants those banks to go down. Now, that's great for the new financial system because then we can usher in these new infrastructures and, we'll be running pretty much everything that will help them survive. And that could mean a lot of capital flowing through a lot of these infrastructures, which is another reason why I believe that XRP and a lot of the bank coins over the next year or two could make a serious run. But like I said, they have to actualize on a lot of those variables. That's up to them. We have to just wait until a catalyst manifests themselves. Then we have something solid to look at, right? To observe and to analyze. So I'm trying to take all of that into account. So that has an effect on if there would be a significant correction. I do believe that at a certain point, a lot of the volatility could be negated. It all depends on who is purchasing, making these large purchases of XRP to drive the price up. As of right now, the banks aren't doing that right now, or you would see that reflected in the price. When are they going to do it? That's obviously no one can know that. They are the only ones that can decide that. No one's in charge of them, not even Ripple. They tell Ripple, hey, this is when we want to go. And I'm pretty sure that behind the scenes, they have to have a consortium of banks that have built on the XRPL or using Ripple-based system, whatever you want to put it. And they probably keep up with each other and to say, hey, this is when we want to go live. You have to have all of them go, I won't say all of them, but a great deal of them. This is my humble opinion. Maybe I'm wrong and you can correct me in the comment section if I'm incorrect. But you have to have a great deal of them come online or flip the switch, so to speak, at the same time to really make it work, right? As they're sending wholesale CBDCs, you're sending tons of capital back and forth. You have to have someone to send it to, right? And the interoperability works much better. If you look at the improvements that the XRPL has been making, that's how it would have to be at its optimal point. So I'm taking all of that into account. Could it happen in 2023? Yeah, sure. I think it's more. Well, let's continue on here. I have so many thoughts. It says here, quote, the court victory for Ripple has spurred optimism around XRP, but its long-term evolution will primarily hinge on how the market continues to interpret this ruling. Overall, I don't think so. I think it's over for that. Despite the negativities and the negative entities that want to come against us, they're finished. They had their chance. And all they're doing now is angering a beehive that they don't want to anger. And I'm not talking about the XRP army. I'm talking about the brotherhood and sisterhood of judges that they're angering right now. And they're making a big mistake. I'm going to tell you, they're making a huge mistake. They clearly, maybe they do understand and they just want a battle, but they clearly don't understand. I'm trying to be careful with how I phrase it, but entities that move like fraternal orders, they just don't get it. So you're going against this one judge and you think that that's it. And it's not. You're going against a bunch of judges who are taking offense right now. And they're saying to themselves, you treat the Honorable Judge Annalisa Torres that way and besmirch. That's right. I'm using Stephen Regal words, and besmirch that judge's name. You could do it to us as well. So why would we help you? You see, it's a level of disrespect that is going to carry its weight across a cadre of judges. I feel I could be wrong, but I've seen it before. They're making a huge mistake. They're riling up the hornet's nest and they're going to get stung. That's how I look at it. They're not going to win anything. Just my humble opinion. I could be wrong. So now let's move on. So I'm not concerned with them at all. All this saber rattling. Listen, people who actually are going to take action, just take the action. Those who bark the loudest and do all of that talking, and they typically lose. They're typically not as tough as they say. They typically don't have the ammunition, the artillery that they claim they have. They just don't. That's why they're doing all that, to see maybe they could shake you and find a chink in your armor. It's not about what they have. It's about what maybe you lack. And if you start to respond to that type of activity, then you might show a chink in your arm. Maybe you show mental weakness. Maybe you put out some information because you're talking too much that they could use against you. It's all strategic, psychological nonsense. This is why it's better to just be silent, be confident, and move forward. If you're going to come take something, if you're going to come attack, come do it, then I'll deal with you then. Right? This is typically how I look at the situation. But if you're just going to do a whole bunch of talking and such like that, like, you're not saying anything. Let's continue to get to the money. Focus. Make partnerships. Make deals. Gain more power. We don't have time to waste. That's how I look at it. Right? So anyway, let's continue on here. It says, that said, Kotwani advises carrying out detailed research, which we do, and assessing one's, quote, risk appetite before investing in anything. We know that. We're very wise over here. You all are very wise. So at the same time, Jake Hill, the CEO of Debt Hammer, a platform offering advice, content, calculators, information, and access to paid programs for the 70 million Americans who struggle with consumer debt and payday loans, sees XRP hitting $5 as a long shot, but not entirely impossible. So we have a balance there. Okay, I can respect that. It says, quote, this courtroom decision is definitely a win for the cryptocurrency world, it's a win for XRP, and that's how I feel about it. I let the rest of crypto worry about themselves. A win for XRP and the bank coins that are pretty much very, very closely related or similar to XRP. They're almost the same. That's really what I wanted to say. So, but it's not an automatic ticket to $5 prices for XRP. No one said it's automatic. This is about hard work, not luck. This is about putting in the hard work, making the connections, bringing in partnerships, banks, having a hungry team like what Ripple has or Algorand has or Stellar has or Quant has that goes out there and puts in the hard work day in and day out, has the intelligence, has the credibility and the backgrounds to prove that they know how to make deals, that they know how to set up infrastructures. They have proven use cases. That's what this is about. This is about facts, hard work, staying ahead of the competition, having a never say die attitude and staying hungry. That's what this is about. No one worth their salt. And I believe that's most of the XRP army is looking at it and saying, well, just because the case was over, now it's going to go to $5. Not at all. Not at all. That's not how we got here. And that's not how we're going to get where we're going. It says this would represent a roughly 900% surge percentage means nothing. Not when you're talking about an asset like this, means nothing. There has never been anything that has existed like XRP before. Nothing. Where you could funnel all of this value into one asset. Potentially, not a guarantee. I hate when people try to put that out there like anyone saying that it's a guarantee. No. But nothing has even had that kind of potential, and everyone out there knows it. That's why people have a glimmer in their eye, a twinkle in their eye when they think about XRP. Sky's the limit. Some people set a low price, let them sell it at a low price. Some people believe it's going to be a high price. Maybe it'll come. They can believe what they want because when they say sky's the limit, they're telling the truth. It's not about a guarantee. It's about where it could possibly go. And each individual in the XRP army makes that decision for themselves. That's another thing they hate. They hate that we're free-minded beings, that we're not, even though we call ourselves the XRP army, we're not all the same. We're all different. We're very rebellious. We're independent thinkers. No one controls us. And if you pay close attention, we're very focused. We're not worried about what all these other coins do. We stay focused. Like, that's what got us here now, and what had everyone seeing good gains when the case ended. When everyone else said, oh, no, you're going to lose the case. No, we won in dominating fashion. We stayed focused and kept our eye on the ball. So percentage, I'm not worried about that at all. As long as it goes where it needs to be, all the technicalities can fall to the wayside at that particular point. It says here, because they use that. They say, well, this percentage. And it looks so grandiose that it puts doubt in people's heart. There will be no doubt had here. None. I know what I know. And even if I were to die, I would die knowing what I know. With the same position, I would not shake. I would not change. You get what I'm saying? I'm not going to take a step back. They love to think that people are so weak. There's no weakness here. Not me or you. I don't put that kind of doubt in you subscribers. I don't. I look at you, I read your comments, I interact with a lot of people. And I see strength. And that's what I build. I'm trying to build strength. I have strength. That's how I feel. I have strength. But anyone around me interacting with me, you're going to get some goodness. I'm going to give you some strength. That's the way I want to live and the way I want to go out in this world. In strength. Just raw, unadulterated, naked strength. So they try to shake you. Well, this market cap. Well, this percentage. All right. Is that supposed to pump fear in my heart? Because it does not. I'm going to stay balanced emotionally. I'm going to consider all possible variables. I'm going to analyze. I'm not going to be sheep-minded and let you lead me here and there. No. And I'm going to decide for myself what I believe. They don't like that. A lot of people, they don't like that. No, they want to have some influence. It is what it is, right? All right, so it says here, meanwhile, Carter Sooth, Credit Summit Consolidation, does not share his colleagues' optimism regarding the price of XRP in 2023, particularly due to the token currently correcting below the $1 level. All right, that means what? It says, instead, he believes such growth would rather have a chance of taking place incrementally over the following several years. I can see it. I see growth happening incrementally. I see growth happening in degrees. That's how I would put it. But at the rate of growth at which that happens, who can tell? Who can tell? Right? Could be much higher. Could be a little lower. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see. So now, let's move on to another article here. All right. I'm just flowing today, everyone. I'm feeling okay. Just flowing. So now, this article here is from the cryptobasic.com and it's titled, "The XRP market remains indecisive following the latest surge to 93-cent territory." Listen, when you say XRP market, we have to distinguish. You're talking about the retail market that dominates now. The real XRP market is the banks later. It is a bank coin. Let's keep that at the forefront of people's mind. This is not a coin that's made just for regular people. What did the top banker say the other day that was talking about, that was super bullish on XRP? What did that top banker say? That retail makes up like less than 1%? Right? All right. So I just want to put that out there. It says, amid this prevalent uncertainty, market analyst CoinsKid believes XRP will likely drop to the 54-cent zone before rallying to $6 by year end. It's definitely possible, I suppose. A lot of people are going to buy up at that. If it goes that low, people are going to definitely buy a ton of it. I'll tell you that much right now. That's how I see it. However, right now, the last that I saw about an hour or so ago, it was sitting at 70 cents. It was holding firm around 70 cents. It says here, XRP 2020 movements. Okay. Notably, XRP rallied 219% from a low of 24 cents in the second week of November 2020. They're going to draw a correlation here, I'm supposing, to a high of 78 cents toward the end of the month. After the massive rally, XRP faced strong resistance, posting intermittent declines in the following 5 weeks. Subsequently, the asset plummeted to a low of 17 cents in late December 2020. The SEC's lawsuit, which came up in December 22nd, 2020, contributed to the discouraging retracement. Why did they reference this? Draw the correlation. They take too long to draw the correlation. Am I just being impatient? Probably, right? Anyway, it says here, however, XRP staged a comeback against the bears. This recovery campaign triggered an impressive upsurge, resulting in a high of $1.96 in April 2021. We saw that. This represented a 1,039% increase from the low of 17 cents witnessed in the late December 2020. Okay, so this goes against what the other person was saying when they're talking about, oh, 900% XRP's done it before. This is what they're trying to show. It could do it again, right? I think it could do much more, but given time, right? Let them bring those banks in. Let the banks set everything up. Let them flip that switch, so to speak, and then we could see magic happen. Let's scroll down here. I want to get to the crux of this here. Okay, here we go. According to CoinsKid, the next rally should skyrocket XRP to the $1.90 high witnessed in April 2021. The asset could face resistance at this level. Well, they're trying so hard to FUD XRP to keep people out of it. It's exactly what's going on. Firstly, a lot of millionaires, you want to be real about it, a lot of millionaires have been made. You probably didn't read those articles, did you? A lot of millionaires have been made. XRP Millionaires has been increasing. People have been stacking. Haven't I said that? They've been stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking for such a long time. It doesn't take a crazy price, right? So they don't like that. The legacy system does not like that. But the XRP millionaires are very smart because they've kept it very quiet, right? I have an article somewhere about that, I believe. Oh, it's the next article. We'll get to that in the next chapter. So they don't like that. They also don't want too many people making some good money off of XRP. So they're dropping FUD left and right. I mean, so many FUD articles. So now people don't want to get in. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. They've thrown a lot of doubt into people's heart, and it's very easy. When you saturate individuals in negativity and they make their minds accessible to negativities, people just, a lot of people, they just take in anything that's in front of them. I don't do that. My life is highly curated on purpose. So anyway, as individuals get saturated in that negativity, it can have a very bad effect on them energetically, mentally. And so they may not want to get in, or they may want to sell and get out. They may think that there's a peak that happened already. That's it. If you go by that. So it might be a little bit more difficult to reach that level based on retail, but we shall see. Like I said, this is the banker's coin. So I'm waiting on those banks. It says here, however, once it breaks above this resistance, its trajectory should lead to a $6 price by the end of this year. This will mark a 720% increase, still lower than the 2021 rally. All right. So I like what I'm reading so far. So then here we go with the whole XRP millionaire thing here. Okay. So this is from cryptoglobe.com. And it is titled XRP Millionaires on the Rise as Crypto Surges to New Highs. So now you know why there's so much jealousy. Jealousy gives rise to the FUD. Right? They're not going to talk about this, right? Okay, let's scroll down. We're going to talk about it. Let's read this little article here. The number of XRP token holders with at least 1 million tokens on the cryptocurrency's ledger has now surpassed the 1,900 mark. That's pretty good, right? It says, as an accumulation trend set off earlier this month was triggered by an uptick in investor sentiment. Also, I'll say this, please be careful telling people what you have. I used to say this a lot in the beginning, and I'll say it again. Be careful telling people what you have. You don't want to make yourself a target on any level. Silence is very powerful, right? There's an old ancient saying. It's something like, It's something like, keep silent thine tongue, that thine words will not betray thee. You ever heard that before? Be careful, okay, everyone? All right. I want to see you be safe and successful and have great lives. Anyway, it says, according to the on-chain data, there are now 1,988 XRP wallets holding at least 1 million XRP, with 1,451 of these wallets equivalent to 72% of the total, boasting balances between 1 million and 5 million XRP. These wallets together hold a cumulative balance of a staggering 2.69 billion XRP into a valuation of $2.8 billion. As reported, the data also points to 172 wallets holding between 5 million and 10 million XRP. All right, we're going to stop there with this article. Once again, that's on cryptoglobe.com. I just want to put that little bit of information out there because this is one of the reasons why. Listen, they don't want people from the bottom going to the top, right? They don't want you to become wealthy, right? They want you to become rich. A lot of people blow their riches, a couple million. But wealth, oh, that's different. That's different. And look, a lot of these people don't just have XRP, right? But if XRP in the future is going to be consistent, let's say it does become consistent, they're looking at wealth. Legacy system doesn't want that. Now they have people to compete with. They don't know these individuals' intention. They may not even know who these individuals are if they keep quiet. What do? Do they just ride off into the sunset? Do they build? Do they buy up some land, property? Do they lobby? Do they, like you say, they don't know. They're unknown variables. So now they have to stuff everyone down because they don't want too many people getting to that level, knowing that this asset has such a potential. Does that make sense? All right, so now let's move on here to another article. This one here is on Quant.network. Quant making major moves. It says here, Quant contributes CBDC expertise to Finextra's future payments report. It says Gilbert Verdian, our founder and CEO, has written a chapter about central bank digital currencies for Finextra's 2023 Future of Payments report, subtitled Gaining Ground and Global Interoperability. If Quant gets to do a fraction of what most of us think it can do, boom. It says this year's report includes insights from BNY Mellon, Sika Bank, Deutsche Bank. My apologies if I didn't pronounce the other bank's name correctly. HSBC, ING, Nationwide, Building Society, NatWest, SIBA Bank, Societe Generale. Anyone who has ever been involved with a technology project will know that they are notorious for being over time and over budget. We recently completed one that bucks this trend. It has the potential to significantly reshape our underlying monetary system. This is Quant talking. People aren't hearing it. They're not getting it yet. Let me read that again. It has the potential to significantly reshape our underlying monetary system and the nature of currency, creating a slew of opportunities for banks and payment firms that get ahead of the game. This is headed by the Bank for International Settlements London Innovation Hub Project Rosalind, which we're all familiar with, is an experiment involving more than a dozen commercial banks and payment companies, which obviously to actually implement such a system, there will have to be an exponential amount more banks involved, which does what to Quant's price if it plays a significant role in the interoperability of such. It says here, although the experiment itself was a resounding success, demonstrating, amongst other things, that a CBDC will enable citizens and businesses to automate cumbersome payments and processes and implement logic into money, it would be naive to ignore the fact that the banking industry as a whole, and indeed its customers, still have questions and, in some cases, concerns. Well, they're still behind. I'll say that. The banks themselves are so behind technologically speaking, that how can they possibly answer their customers' questions, which is their duty, by the way. It's not our duty. It's our duty to set up infrastructures. How can they possibly answer their customers' questions? And I'll say this, I'll go out a little bit further. They haven't been meeting their customers' needs. Dissatisfaction and lack of belief in the banks, according to the expert polls that we were reading about 2 months ago, is at an all-time low. Anyway, let's continue on. Here it says, for the first and most existential challenge is the tendency for onlookers to ask, why do we need a CBDC? That I'm not concerned with. It says here, CBDCs running on blockchains and benefiting from embedded secure smart contracts are a form of programmable money that could usher in a range of improvements in terms of efficiency, security, all those hacks they've been getting that have been happening to them, and all the ransom, what do they call that, ransom software that has been put into certain financial institutions. I'll just say it that way. We can remedy all of that. And then don't forget this. This is where security comes in handy. When it comes to the DLTs, you attack a part of it, the rest of it keeps working as though nothing happened. We've seen a few banks. They allege, this is what they're saying, they allege that something happened to them and they had to shut down everything. And their customers were waiting and complaining, right? That doesn't happen if you're running our infrastructures. That's something else that's delicious to them, right? This is, and transparency that will benefit banks and their customers. Yeah, no more of that, no disrespect to Zelle, but no more customers losing money and then you don't know what the heck happened to it. Usually all the companies involved just throw their hands in the air and say, well, that's your fault. That's your problem, right? No, you'll know where something went, and maybe you can even come up with a remedy as to what you can do about that particular situation, right? So it says here, for example, one of the banks participating in Rosalind allowed users to program the CBDC to create a form of automated escrow. And listen, all I need to know is that Quant has a multitude of uses. Q&T. That's all I need to know. They're doing a fantastic job, in my humble opinion. Once again, this is on quant.network, okay? This article here is from the dailyhodl.com, and it is titled $57.2 billion added to U.S. debt in 4 days. 4 days. They're going absolutely bonkers. I mean, I don't understand. It says 4 days as billionaire David Rubenstein is warning on America's economic future. I mean, it's startling. I said that this was going to be a problem when they removed the debt limit. So now they can spend as much money as they want. There is no positive outcome to this. So the amount of total outstanding public debt on America's balance sheet is soaring. Newly updated numbers from the government's fiscal data platform show the country's debt surged by $57.2 billion in just 4 days. After surpassing the $32 trillion mark on June 16th, the total debt accumulated by the U.S. has already jumped an additional $590 billion as of July 20th. In a new interview on Bloomberg TV, billionaire investor David Rubenstein says the U.S. can only manage its ever-increasing pile of debt with inflation, which will further expand Americans' income inequality gap. Says here, he has a quote. Says, when I left the White House under President Carter, the total indebtedness of the United States was under $1 trillion, or roughly $800 billion. Now it's roughly $32 trillion. There is no way out of that except essentially inflating your way out. The people aren't seeing this. They're too busy debating and arguing with each other over minuscule things. They're not watching the major thing that's going on here that's going to affect everybody's life. It says we aren't going to go to a bailout, but the IMF, that's not realistic. Wait, I think I'm skipping something here. Okay, it says here, we aren't going to cut expenses in the government. No, it just keeps going up. Unbelievable. So we are going to increase tax that much. We are going to increase tax that much. We aren't going to go to a bailout, but the IMF, that's not realistic. And we're not going to default. The only alternative is to inflate our way out. So we're going to inflate our way out. And that's not a good problem for people at the lower income parts of our society, as they deal increasingly less well with inflation than wealthier people do. Remember when a lot of individuals used to talk about two-tier society? Rubenstein says America's economic fundamentals are setting the stage for a mounting clash between those who have wealth and those who don't. There's a problem on the horizon, folks. Quote, the biggest concern overall is that the clash between the haves and the have-nots. In the Western world, the clash is going to be between the older people and younger people. The older people are living longer and longer, but the retirement benefits are not really going to keep up with what they expect or what they need. And the younger people are going to have to say, quote, we don't want to work that much harder just so you have a better retirement. Wow. It says, so you're going to have Social Security in the United States, for example, not being adequately funded. You are going to have other endowment programs that are not adequately funded. And the result is going to be more and more people are going to be fighting between a clash of age groups, you could say. The haves who are working hard and want to make more money for themselves, and the have-nots who want more money to be given to them for the retirement purposes that they need. So that's on the dailyhodl.com. We're going to leave that right there. I think there's a lot of other angles to look at when it comes to this, but nonetheless, this is not good for anyone across the board. And keep in mind, this is just U.S. debt, the global debt as well. New financial system coming in hot. Let's go here. All right. So now I wanted to cover this. I thought this was quite interesting here. This is from theconversation.com. Okay. And maybe this can help a few people out there. I don't know, but I'm just going to put this out there. It says this article is titled How to Overcome Repetitive Negative Thinking Through Meditation. And it goes as such. Do you ever find yourself caught in a cycle of negative thoughts? Maybe you ruminate on past mistakes, worry excessively about the future, or imagine worst case scenarios. Some of you are very good at being able to redirect your energies. I've seen that. You've told me a great deal of things, and you do a very, very good job of, let's say you're having a tough day. Some people out there have let me know, hey, they'll go do something fun, read a good book, they'll play a good game or something like that, and redirect that energy and bring themselves back to a balance. Let's continue on here. It says, do you sometimes have a great day, everything goes well, and then your brain says, quote, hey, remember that time you embarrassed yourself in front of everyone? Let's relive that moment for the next 20 minutes, unquote. And suddenly your good day turns into a cringe fest. If so, know that you're not alone. Then it says here, the devastating effects of repetitive negative thinking. Let's skip that part. It says the transformative power of mindfulness. Okay, let's read that a little bit here. You don't have to agree with this. I'm not trying to make you agree or think this way. I'm just putting this out there, all right? It says mindfulness can be seen as a mental faculty or skill that can be developed through regular practice. It entails cultivating a non-judgmental and non-reactive awareness of the present moment. The objective is to be fully engaged in what's happening right now rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. There are two main styles of mindfulness practice: focused attention meditation and open monitoring meditation. Focused attention meditation involves choosing a specific object, such as the breath, bringing your full attention to it. Whenever the mind wanders, it is simply brought back to the focus of the object. In contrast, open monitoring meditation involves being aware of everything occurring in the present moment. I think naturally I do that. Like I go outside sometimes and, I feed the chipmunks and, the sparrows come down as well. The robins used to come and eat a lot of seeds. I'll put the seeds down and stuff like that. And I would just, I don't know how to explain it more clear than I'm just appreciating life at that time. I'm just absorbing nature. The sun is out. I'm feeling good. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm literally just there in that moment. It's like I feel the eternal now, if that's expedient to use such a phrase, So anyway, just something that I do. So it says here, whenever the mind wanders, it is simply brought back to the object of focus. In contrast, Open monitoring meditation involves being aware of everything occurring in the present moment. Instead of trying to focus on a specific object, one simply observes whatever arises in the experience, including thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. But what's happening in the brain during these practices? Recent studies have revealed that only during focused attention meditation, there is a deactivation of the quote default mode network, a network of brain areas that are typically active when we're not focused on a particular task. This network is implicated in quote resting state thinking, which involves repetitive negative thinking. By deactivating the default network mode, unquote, focused attention meditation can help reduce this harmful type of thinking. So this article here is from watcher.guru, and it is titled, What Happens If Gulf Countries Accept Brics Currency? All right. Big shout out. If you made it this far, big shout out to the members only section. They make all of these videos possible, including the ones that are in the members only section. Okay. It says here, a total of 44 countries are ready to join the BRICS alliance and accept the new currency for cross-border transactions. Developing countries from Asia, Africa, South America, and Europe, keep that in mind, have expressed interest to join BRICS bloc months before the summit. All right, so let's scroll down here. It says the Gulf countries currently settle remittances in the US dollar that we know. Let's scroll down a little further. It says here, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates are the top exporters of oil in the Gulf region. The three countries export billions of barrels around the world and accept the US dollar for remittance. If the trio joins BRICS and forces the West to settle trade in BRICS currency, the US dollar will find no means to fund its deficit. If Gulf countries trade in BRICS currency, it would signal a shift from traditional financial markets. The move could pave the way for a new world order dominated by the East and not the West. Developing Eastern countries will experience an increase in their geopolitical influence, giving them more power in the world's economic forums. The existing geopolitical system will be disrupted and the financial order will see a drastic paradigm shift. And if Western allies, especially Europe, settle trade in BRICS currency, the US dollar will experience a reduction in demand. If the greenback loses demand in global markets, the American economy will be hardest hit. This is why we've been keeping up with this. Of course, like I keep saying, this is beneficial to the new financial system. But this will be very difficult and hard on any individual who's not prepared for this to happen. All right. So now we are going to close out with this article here. It's from moderndiplomacy.eu. This tells you where everything is going. It is titled De-dollarization. IMF hints at allowing countries to use Chinese yuan for debt repayment. They have like the arrogance of the IMF. They have no choice. They're beginning to realize that they cannot stop what is coming. They cannot stop the economic alliance that is the BRICS nation. The common currency is coming rather sooner or later. It doesn't make a difference. And they're going to use placeholders. The IMF can do nothing about that. Sure, they're offering loans and such like that, but that's the exact control mechanisms where countries are beginning to resent, not beginning, but they have been resenting the West because of those types of control mechanisms. Here we give you this money, whether it's US dollars or SDRs, and now we tell you what to do. They don't like that. But let's continue on. So the International Monetary Fund has hinted that it may accept the Chinese yuan as a currency for countries to settle their obligations with the IMF following Argentina's recent debt repayment in yuan. IMF, which means that now you see the effect and the power of BRICS nations that the IMF has to accept it, right? IMF spokesperson Julie Kozak confirmed that Argentina had paid off part of its debts equivalent to $1.1 billion of the $2.7 billion that matured last month with the IMF in Chinese currency. Quote, as we have stated in the past, the Argentine authority, and what happens if most countries are doing that, right? What happens to the value of the US dollar? It says here, quote, as we have stated in the past, the Argentine authorities continue to remain current on their financial obligations to the IMF, unquote, Ms. Kozak said at a press briefing. Quote, the RMB is one of the 5 freely usable currencies that members can and have used to settle their obligations with the IMF, unquote. She added, referring to the Chinese currency by its official name, the renminbi. Argentina's central bank said it had incorporated the yuan as a currency accepted for deposits in savings banks and checking accounts. And there's a particular reason for that, more than just it's the Brics currency, signaling the departure from the US dollar as its sole official reserve currency. We're hearing that more and more. Quote, financial entities will thus be enabled to open bank accounts denominated in renminbi, yuan, unquote, the bank stated. So times are changing. The world is changing. Things that never happened before are happening rapidly, folks. Let's keep our eyes on this. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.